Pete and you're watching Feral Fabrications. Today I'm going to show you how I made these sand moulds for these HB Viva GT bonnet scoops. It'll just be the process of going through filling the mould up with sand and actually how I went about getting this relatively complicated shape moulded. So yeah, enjoy. Okay, here's the part. We've got a mould. You can see I've just filled the ends in with a little bit of my son's Play-Doh and some tape actually. Just because if I left that recess in there I wouldn't be able to extract it from the mould later on. Sort of see what I mean. I also see I put a little divider in my moulding box there. That was just so I could use a bit less sand. Parting powder down just to make sure the mould doesn't stick to the sand. Then sieve a bit over. That done, time to fill the mould up with sand. Homemade grinding tools, made pots as well. Maybe do a separate video on the making of the box, but ready for the first lift. And the dowels on the box make it easy to lift it straight up and down. No major dramas with that. Pretty successful. So I pop it over the top of my sand bucket and I actually just scrape around the edge. So what I'm doing here is just trying to make sure there's no edges that are going to break away. I want them all to be nice and smooth because I've got to be able to remove this piece out of the mould. So any bits that stick up, including those two little bits inside there, I scrape out and just try and compact down, make it nice and firm as well. And those will actually be moulded in the other box when I reassemble it and remould the bottom piece to get the exact shape. Because just pressing it into the sand doesn't cut it, you know. So that's the bottom there. Like I say, we're going to redo that to get the proper shape instead of just pushing it in. So just break all that sand back into the sand bucket. I think I got a bit carried away with the parting powder, which is calcium carbonate if you weren't too sure what that was. Or you can use talcum powder or talc, but yeah, I use the calcium carbonate. So I've just brushed a little bit off since I got a bit overzealous. Again, just sieving the sand on there, trying to get a nice finish as best as possible. And breaking the lumps of sand up that fell in the bucket from when I just broke it out of the mould. To put it back in here and pack it in. I'm packing this reasonably hard. It's quite a small mould, so I haven't found that it gets much steam build up in there. I like to put a little part powder on the brush. I find it is really easy to brush it up and down those risers and the sprue. It's needed so that when you scrape it off like that, the sand doesn't stick and it just sort of falls out reasonably easily. Ready to lift it up again. So now we've got a good mould of the back side of it, I guess. So I'll just push that sand that's fallen into my risers and my sprue when I scrape the top of the sand off there. Now it's time to pull the mould out. Just give it a light tap and then extract it by hand. Being as careful as possible not to break any of the edges. Took a few goes to get that right. I've done a few of them now. And I'm reasonably happy with it. A little bit of sand broke away around the where the air vents were, but that'll just come up as flashing and I can file it down. So I wasn't too worried about that. There I've just cut the gate to feed the aluminium into the mould, and I should have early on this I should have cut my pouring basin. That just lets the metal settle down and means that it's not dropping from a height down into the mould, which could cause some crazy casting phenomenon. So by having the pouring basin, you pour from the crucible into there, and then you put a nice smooth radius down a tapered screw into the mould, and it gets all the metal settled down as much as practical, really. The bit of aluminium I use to cut the pouring basin with is a bit fat, so I have to tidy it up by hand. It takes a while. Pull the screw out and then just give it a nice radius edge with the paintbrush. Now I've got to split it apart a third time just to make sure no sand fell down. If I didn't have to cut that pouring basin, I probably wouldn't have split it a third time. I would have been happy with just splitting it twice. And there we have it, that's the finished product. So after watching that, you've probably got a bit of an idea that it takes quite a while to make one mould. So I've made this one and these ones, another 4, and I've got 2 sitting outside on the car as well. So all up that's 6. There's probably about 12 hours work of just shagging around making these little bonnet scoops around. But anyway, it was a bit of a fun exercise. I'm not trying to do it to make money for sure. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video of how to make those moulds, and we'll catch you up on the next one, which pretty sure is going to be an update on the Capri. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.